And another thing is, I've been reading up on it, and clearly, you're trying to get fans, more fans in the door throughout the entirety of the weekend, not just on Sunday, which, let's keep it a buck. That's just a money grab in my opinion. Hello, F1 fans and motorsport fans all around the world. Welcome. I am Tyreek Waldron, aka the Big Ticket 07, here to talk to you about the sprint qualifying races that are being implemented by the F1 higher ups, higher management, whatever. Is it gonna be the way to go? I don't know. Let's talk about it. Now, originally there was the reverse sprint races that came out, and that was, I believe, last year 2020 season, but it was vetoed because Mercedes was not having that. So as we move forward now in 2021, and we're getting ready for Silverstone and whatever other circuit that they plan on doing the sprint qualifying races in, and it's becoming more apparent that this is going to be something that is going to try and get implemented later on in F1 and in how F1 is done. I'm kind of pissed, a little irritated with it, because you start to find different problems that could possibly arise with this. My main thing so far has been if Q1, because how the setup is, like, I'll explain the setup of how the sprint qualifying races is, and how that affects the entirety of the weekend and the actual GP, of course. So it starts off like this. Friday, there's practice 1, then it goes into qualifying 1, qualifying 2, and qualifying 3. Then on Saturday is practice 2. Now the qualifying 1, 2, and 3 that had occurred on Friday is what's going to determine your position in the sprint qualifying race. And then from there, sprint qualifying on that Saturday, after that practice 2, you race, and your position in that race determines where you're at on the grid for the actual GP on Sunday. But I have one major kind of question with that. I'm trying to figure out why it's like that. You know what I'm saying? Because, certain instances, things can happen. Things can happen in that sprint qualifying race. And, what if you've done so incredible in those first 3 qualifyings on that Friday? Let's say you're in pole position, right? And after that, you come into contact with, another rider on the first turn, and not another rider. Geez, I'm thinking of MotoGP. Another driver on the first turn, and end up getting some contact, getting a crash, ended up not being able to race altogether because it was a pretty big and pretty devastating crash to your vehicle. Does that put you in last? Like, certain things, like, does that just mean that you're in last even though you did fully well in qualifying? That's the thing about the qualifying races. You have the opportunity, you have multiple times, it's your best time, used. With sprint qualifying, it's really up to chance. Don't get me wrong, yes, there will be, it'll be like an emulation of what the race actually is, but it's still that for me, because that it affects the actual GP so much. So, let's say Verstappen has an issue during the sprint qualifying race, but he did well during the actual qualifyings, and has an issue during the sprint race and ends up falling back to 15th position. That's where he finishes. Even though he had pole position, even though he was up there, you're telling me that he's going to have to stay in 15th position for the actual race. I don't know if I agree with that necessarily. I like the fact that we're qualifying across damn near all motorsports. It's always the fastest time that you put down in the qualifyings. That's just how it goes, and that's how you get the grid. And the thing about it is, you have free reign. You're practically by yourself during those qualifyings. Yes, you might run into some traffic or whatever, some other people that you might overtake during the qualifying or something like that. But all in all, it's still all on you. You know what I'm saying? It's still all on the driver, and I don't necessarily know if I understand what the details necessarily entail. It's just, I don't understand it. That something like that is what really has me questioning whether or not this sprint qualifying is the way to go. And another thing is, I mean, I've been reading up on it, and clearly, you're trying to get fans, more fans in the door throughout the entirety of the weekend, not just on Sunday. Which, I mean, let's keep it a buck. That's just a money grab, in my opinion. I'm not gonna shy away from that. You want more fans there for more money. Right now, we're going through COVID, but this is just being implemented so that after COVID, there's a means to pulling in extra money, maybe more revenue for maybe the revenue that you may have lost because of COVID. You're able to regain and recap and come back stronger. And don't get me wrong, that brings more action to the weekend. It gets more fans involved. I can see the good side of this, but all in all, to me, it's just coming out as a money grab, and I don't like it. I don't like it one bit, and I know that there are tons of people who are behind me on this and who are, I guess ahead of me on this, and with their opinions, and I understand that. And understand that this is not necessarily the greatest way to go, and I could feel that that this is not necessarily the way to go. I wouldn't want this to be like this at all. If I was racing, I wouldn't want this at all. But they had to run it through not only drivers, teams, and all that stuff. All 10 teams agreed to it, so there's not much we can really do about it now, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be, some understanding and some evidence that's going to show that this is not the way to go and that you should keep things how they used to be. Or if you were going to do like a sprint qualifying or something, or anything of that nature, make it so that, or just a sprint race in general, make it so that it doesn't really correlate to the actual GP, or that there's the 3 qualifyings and then cars that want to do like a scrimmage, basically, like in football. It's a scrimmage where it's your team versus their team. It ain't nothing serious, but y'all are playing hard. You know what I'm saying? That kind of thing where it doesn't necessarily affect the GP, but you guys are able to go out there race and just have fun. I think that would also bring in an excitement as well, rather than a sprint qualifying that is going to end up dictating what goes on in the actual GP. I feel as though that's not necessary, and like I said before, it's just a money grab. I don't like it. And yes, you have to bounce back from COVID. Yes, you have to get more fans in there in order to do so. Yes, you got to pull more revenue altogether, but still, I don't know. And once again, there's the thing about the budget cap, which, I mean, if there's but if there's damage incurred to the vehicles or anything like that, teams will need to spend more money. And I think they put in a clause or something like that would allow teams to spend up to $500,000, $500,000 for repairs and anything like that. And don't get me wrong, that's great and everything, but I still don't feel like this is necessary at all. Like I said, if you're gonna make this sprint racing a thing, I feel as though it should just be like a scrimmage, nothing too crazy, nothing too serious, but it'll give fans an opportunity to see a race on a Saturday, and it'll give fans a little idea of what's gonna happen. Maybe, I don't know if Formula One does betting or anything like that, legally, but or if they have a system for that, but maybe do a sprint race with the scrimmage, and then open up betting so that people can try and figure out what's going on for the next day on Sunday. Like, there's different ways that you could pull in that revenue without making it so that it affects the actual GP so greatly. And I feel as though it's a flawed means to affecting the GP. I feel as if you make it just a practical scrimmage, and drivers are just able to take it easy and do what they need to do, rather than having to push, but not pushing so hard as to that they wreck or something like that, but making it so that drivers are just going out there having fun, just taking it slow. Nobody has to really do nothing crazy, but it's just an idea of what the race is going to be like. It still brings action because guys are competitive. Of course they're going to race. Of course they're going to actually race and try to be first. So you're still going to see the action that's necessary, that you want the fans to be involved with and want the fans to see. And we'll just see what happens with it. I don't necessarily know. It'll be happening in Silverstone, so we'll definitely be able to see, how this really extends, and how it really plays a part in the actual Formula One race. That's it. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed, consider hitting that subscribe button. If you want to check out any more of my content, head down to the description box down below. And remember, you only have one life. Go out there and enjoy it.